The best from sports, stupidity, and social media. Exclusive on YouTube. Questionable Call with Josh Cohen. Hit subscribe now.
Time now for a PNC pause. PNC Bank is committed to helping the customers and the communities they serve move forward financially. See how they can make a difference for you at PNC.com.
Hurricane fans, the final game of the season is here. Join us on November 23rd at Hard Rock Stadium as the Hurricanes take on the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest. It's Senior Day, a day to honor the incredible players who have given their all to the U. Let's give them a send-off they'll never forget and fill the stadium with Hurricanes pride. Don't miss out. Get your tickets today by visiting MiamiHurricanes.com or by calling 1-800-GO-CANES.
Banyan Printing, your trusted printing, mailing, and signage partner in the Palm Beaches for over 45 years. Banyan Printing's new metallic ink press adds that extra shine so that your product comes out in glossy gold, sparkling silver, or any other color you want to shine. Banyan Printing is the official printer of Kaiser Athletics and would love to be your official printing partner as well. Order products and learn more about what Banyan Printing can do for your business at banyanonline.com or call 561-586-6220.
Tickets are on sale now for the Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches. South Florida's only PGA Tour event returns to PGA National February 26th through March 2nd. Watch your favorite golfers compete on the Champions Course while enjoying a new on-site experience filled with local bites, craft cocktails, fan activities, and more. Get ready for a week to remember. Secure your tickets now at thecognizantclassic.com.
Huddle up this season at Hurricane Grill and Wings, where every day is game day. Enjoy our famous wings, new cocktails, and happy hour deals at the perfect spot to catch all the football action. Escape from the ordinary. Visit hurricanewings.com to find a restaurant near you.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
Ball into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo! Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Colin!
A Football Friday, post-Thursday Night Football, Russo and Rizzo edition, sending you off into the weekend. Hi, everybody. Colin Russo here on ESPN 106.3. Join alongside me, Mike Rizzo, with Damian Perez now behind the glass, helping us out in the ones and twos over at the City Place Studios right here in downtown West Palm Beach. It is cold. A cold front is what the Floridians call it. That's a new concept to me. I thought I'd be able to deal with it. I was walking around this morning. It was in the 50s. It was cold. Unbelievable.
I didn't know it got that cold.
I didn't know that existed out here.
Didn't I?
November 22nd, I was expecting 80 and sunny, but this cold front, I needed a jacket.
What is it, 65? 65 out right now?
It's better right now if you're in the sun. But oh my God.
Colin, I'm going to be in a shoot tonight because we're covering high school games tonight. Dude, I only have my shorts and my polo. I might need to stop at home and grab a windbreaker.
At this point of the year, I didn't realize this was the thing. We were wrong. These cold fronts, it catches up to you. It was cold yesterday. We were at the Boca Raton Innovation Campus. It's cold. It's cold. You know where it was cold, too? Cleveland last night for the Thursday night football matchup between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. Pittsburgh Steelers, of course, coming in riding high with Russell Wilson at quarterback at 8-2. The Browns were sitting low at 2-8 with Jameis Winston under center. Browns played well. We were on it. That was a hell of a pick to call it to win outright by Mike Rizzo. They played well that snow game. That to me, if you're a northern team and you're considering building a dome, whether it be Buffalo, Chicago, Cleveland, of course, that's the type of game that reminds you. That's why football is football.
Yes.
You don't need a dome. We need more games like that. That's why I get annoyed when teams like Buffalo and Chicago and Cleveland want to get these domes. That's part of the allure. That's part of the fun. All these southern teams staying in their heat-adjusted, no snow, no rain, no nothing, domes. It's nice for the players. It's nice for fantasy. but it doesn't feel like football.
No.
Yesterday felt like football.
Felt like football. And how about Jameis Winston, the Alabama kid, getting it done? Now, he did turn the ball over 2 times in the fourth quarter, and I thought it was going to be detrimental. But fair play to Winston and fair play to my Brown. Hang on, Kyle. I've been back. All right, got that out of my system. But anytime you beat the Squealers, man, you got to start barking. And I was barking like a ravaged dog in my apartment last night. All of the Browns brass and fans that I know of were all in agreement. Win the division games and lose the rest of them. Now, I understand a lot of people out there are like, well, Riz, you just screwed up your chance at the number 1 pick. I understand that. But, Colin, I think the roster is possibly good enough next year if the Browns figure things out on the offensive line, maybe get a couple more edge rushers to pair alongside with Garrett. I think the team could be good. Now, the thing no one's talking about is the quarterback position, but I know we're more or less reacting from last night. But these conversations have been coming up from all across the Browns brass today because a lot of people are getting behind that Winston bandwagon. Colin, I'm not there. Maybe you bring back Jameis on a 1-year deal to back it up, but last night was fun for a lot of reasons. It was fun to see Nick Chubb have success against the Steelers, and it was fun to see the Steelers finally get penalized for playing like crap. I know Russell Wilson had a decent enough game. We both looked at each other when he walked in this morning. We thought Russell Wilson had a really good game.
He sure did.
And in the conditions, too, he really surprised me.
He played with guts.
He really surprised me the way he played. But the Steelers finally getting penalized for maybe playing down to the competition a little bit.
Well, there's a couple things that we have to bring up in regard to the game. I thought we were going to be watching a classic Browns meltdown after they got up 18-6 over there in early fourth quarter, and then the Steelers go right down the field, score. The Browns immediately fumble. Back to the Steelers, score. Back to the Browns, a terrible interception by Winston. I thought this game was over. It was 19-18 with a couple minutes to go, and then they're going back and forth, a couple punts. Then all of a sudden, you're at the end of the game. I thought there's no chance the Browns win this game. This is a game that screams the Steelers are going to eat this out like they have all year. Then all of a sudden, 3 minutes to go. Steelers are trying to run out a little bit of clock, up 1 in a big drive. Run the ball twice. Cleveland calls their first time out fairly early. About 3 minutes left in the game. Justin Fields is in the game. He was in the field before that. They used him sporadically. But it's 3rd and 4. It's 3rd and 4 with about 3 minutes to go in the game. Browns have 2 timeouts remaining. In a lot of ways, you are closing this game out in a lot of ways if you get a first down. Maybe 2. 2 to completely close it. Justin Fields is in the game. All right, let's see this out. Maybe Tomlin's got something up his sleeve. Maybe something, a run package, that read option hurt them with Taysom Hill. He's throwing the ball deep. He's throwing a 45-yard a fade route to George Pickens. On the sideline, you have Russell Wilson, who is a top 3, if not 1, deep ball thrower in the entire league. What the hell was that?
Can I try to explain it? So earlier in the game, on the 4th down call specifically, where Fields didn't read the hole, tried to go outside and lost 5 yards, I think they saw that play count and said, wow, the Browns really sold out on the run there. Let's try to maybe keep them on their toes. Let's put Fields into the game. Maybe we could sneak one past them. Fair play to the Brownies. They weren't fooled. And I, every time as a Brown fan, Fields came into the game, and this is a diehard Ohio State fan speaking as well. Every time Fields came into the game, it was a sigh of relief. I don't know what the game plan there was. Colin, outside of that long 30-yard run that Fields had. Now, let's make one thing clear. That long run that Fields had, that's a touchdown if it's not snowing.
True.
Fields is gone, and that's a touchdown. Outside of that 30-yard run, I didn't understand what they were trying to do with Justin Fields the whole game.
Using him entirely too much.
No idea.
I understand it's a snow game. So he offers a different dynamic running the football. That's fair. But the fact that in the biggest play of the game for the Steelers and a chance to, in a lot of ways, close this game out, you're sticking with him to throw the ball?
Crazy.
Even if you catch them off guard, it's snowing. There's 2 inches of snow on the ground. You're not going to catch a major step. You can't even throw the ball. It's slicked up. That is that is the decision that reminds me why Mike Tomlin's Mike Tomlin. Christian Catt, of course, is not with us today. He had a good point today. He talked to me earlier. He said Mike Tomlin is the ultimate culture builder. He is the ultimate get the most out of your players, put the team in the right position to win games. But Mike Tomlin, in a lot of cases, for a consistent period of time now, can get in his own way in a big game, in a big spot. He did then.
And Colin, he didn't have one of his big, I feel like Boswell not being able to hit 55-yard field goals in that game, too, hurt as well. The Steelers had to go for it multiple times on fourth down.
Yeah, it was a blizzard.
Because it was just, you couldn't sit there and kick your field goals. And I'm the one who was giving Tomlin credit last night on our show when we were live at Brick. I was giving him credit saying he takes his points whenever he can. You couldn't last night because it was a blizzard. And you saw what happens. I mean, you're bringing in Fields on one of the fourth downs. They run a horrible run play to Jalen Warren. I mean, Najee Harris, who I'm not a fan of, by the way, but he's a bigger back. One would think maybe you stick it out with him on fourth down and run up the middle with Jalen Warren. Poorly coached game, I agree. And then also, back to your whole Fields argument, you have Russell Wilson on the bench, who just led you down the field on 2 scoring drives. Every big third down, Colin, Russell got. Every big third down that the Steelers had on those 2 touchdown drives, Russell Wilson was throwing darts.
Yeah, they were good on third down. The Browns weren't. So that's very strange.
And the biggest reason was because of their quarterback. Wilson was doing a fantastic job, too, of avoiding the rush. I know Garrett.
And they went after him all game.
Yeah, they did. And I know Garrett had a hell of a game, and we'll get to him in a second. I got to take on him and T.J. Watt. But he did a great job of seeing the pressure, going to his left, outlasting the play. His pocket presence last night looked like he was back in 2015.
Yeah.
And you have him on the bench on 3rd and 4. Thank you. As a Brown fan, thank you.
Very strange.
Thank you.
Very, very, very strange. I cannot fathom the decision to put in Justin Fields. If at least run the ball. Very, very weird. Tomlin, and of course, and whether you want to say it was a bad call with the the incompletion that was not called for intentional grounding, but it was instead called for illegal touching, I was on the same boat as you. Once you realize more and get further into the actual argument, whether the illegal touching argument, I think is stupid. The fact that an illegal touching,
bit of a phony rule, Colin.
It's right? a bit of a phony rule. How the illegal touching in some ways can supersede an intentional grounding. But if you look back on it, it was not an intentional grounding because Michael Dunn, one of the offensive linemen for the Browns, I think his name is Michael Dunn.
5th string.
Reported as eligible on the field. So the fact that he reported eligible on the field and the swing tackle was in the game, that was not an intentional grounding. He was in the area. That was not an intentional grounding. I thought I was not under the impression that he was reported as eligible. They made it seem like that the illegal touching superseded the intentional grounding, and that's what happened with Dak Prescott against the Baltimore Ravens a year or two ago. So I thought this was a major loophole in the NFL that they would very much need to address, that whether an illegal touching is not, and that's only a 5-yard penalty that can be accepted or declined, comparatively to an intentional grounding. Intentional grounding would have lost him that game. Would have put them in 4th and 8, 4th and 9, 4th and 15 territory. That would have lost them the game. But looking back on it, reading up on it, that was not an intentional grounding. The Steeler fans cannot complain. That was not an intentional. And I thought it was at first. Now I was on the other side of that. And it was the illegal touching. The fact that is a loophole is the stupidest thing in the world. Change that. Superseding penalties, making one less than the other. That's, to me, stupid. Now, you can make an argument about Tomlin not taking the 4th down instead of going the 3rd down that they converted. But one thing that's for sure is the Browns were good on 4th down and they were terrible on 3rd. Going with the numbers, you're going with the trends there. I can't kill him for that. Can't kill him for that. But a fun game, though. I'll give them that.
It was awesome.
I thought I give the Browns credit, too. They were able to score there with their backs against the wall there. And a clutch drive. How about scoring with under a minute to go?
Jerry Jeudy with a lot of clutch catches in that game. The thing I laughed about was Njoku dropping the easiest touchdown I think he'll ever have in his life, and then calling on the 2-point conversion, making the craziest catch you'll ever see. That's the player he is. He'll drop the wide open one, and then he'll make the craziest catch you'll ever see.
Yeah, very. And talk about, I guess, mitigating the risks of the other team. That the Pittsburgh defensive line, the Pittsburgh pass rush,
Non-existent.
Nothing.
Against
all game.
Against a second-string, third-string Browns offensive line, too. And that gets you to my Garrett take. I don't know if he had strong words after the game. He basically says
proclaimed himself as number one.
He went full. I know you're not an anime guy, but he went full Vegeta after the game and claimed himself as the self-proclaimed best. It's hard to argue after the game he had, though, Colin.
It's
hard to argue that. It's hard
that he's better than Watt.
I mean, you're the one.
Watt is a better player than he is.
I'm not ready to say that. I'm not ready.
All right.
I guess
head to head, Watt is 7-2 and 1 against him.
Guess I'm a Brown homer. Guess I'm a Brown homer.
Garrett has won one playoff game against him. That's fair. But regular season, Watt is 7-2 and 1 against him. Watt has played 101 games. Garrett has played 98. Watt has 7 interceptions. Garrett has 0. Watt has 93.5 sacks. Garrett has 87. Watt has 282 solo tackles. Garrett has 204. Watt has 26 forced fumbles. Garrett has 17. Watt has 10 fumble recoveries. Garrett has 5. For a better team that wins more games.
Give me Garrett. 10 days on Sunday, 10 days on Saturday, baby.
All right, whatever. We'll move on.
Give me Miles, man. Hey, how many Defensive Player of the Years does TJ Watt have?
1. The same amount as Garrett.
Who won last year? Recency bias. Colin, who won last year and who had the better game? Garrett, baby.
All right.
Watt was non-existent last night.
Yeah, it was.
The magical snowstorm off the lake came through, Colin. I told you, Mama Wendy called me and said, Mikey, it snowed last night. I knew right then and there.
There was something.
Browns money line.
There was something in the air in Cleveland last night. Very, very, very fun game. I give the Browns credit. That was a good pick on our part, too.
Yeah, it was. Thank God we needed it in Punchline Picks where we compete against Theo Dorsey and Christian Cat.
Yeah, we needed that. That was clutch. Got a packed show today. We'll talk to Fat Jack a little later in the show. Get a take on the lines this weekend. Of course, Ohio State's playing Indiana this weekend. An elimination game in a lot of ways for Indiana, maybe even Ohio State. An elimination game for sure in that BYU-Arizona State game. You got Army-Notre Dame. Army's last-ditch effort to slingshot themselves into contention would be that game. Notre Dame, probably their last big test before these playoff rankings really start to solidify a little bit. And a couple tough games. Ole Miss, Florida is one of them. Minnesota, Penn State, another one. A couple trap games. We'll get into that a little later on in the show. Got a packed NFL weekend as well. Whole lot of fun to have. Whole lot of fun still to be had. It's Russo Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. If you haven't started yet, it's time to get started now on Hard Rock Bet. I went 3 for 3 last night on my Hard Rock Bet parlay. Russell Wilson over yards. It was 183.5 in that game. That was a rough line. That was too easy. Over on that, took the Browns with the number, and took the over on the points. We will take that. 3 for 3 on that one. Just had to do a little victory lap on that one. But Hard Rock Bet, there's so many different ways to bet, so many different types of parlays. If you're not the type of person that likes to put a lot of money on games, guess what? Put together a parlay. Put together a bunch of different legs to increase your odds. In Week 6, a bettor in South Florida put $1 on a first touchdown score parlay. 5 different guys, 5 different games. First touchdown score turned $1 into $40,000. That's absolutely insane. Now it's November, so college football, now you have elimination games being played and you have rivalry games being played where essentially record does not matter. You're going to be watching the games anyway. You might as well sprinkle a little action on it with Hard Rock Bet. Try it today. Download it on the App Store or the Google Play Store, or go to hardrock.bet online to get started today. If you try it now, you get up to $100 back in bonus bets if that first bet does not win. $100 back. That first bet can be a parlay, it can be a prop, it can be the over. Whatever you like to bet, any game you choose. You either win your first bet or get the same amount you bet back. As a bonus bet, it's Hard Rock Bet offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida. The wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-888-ADMIT. Now, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, and it sounds like we were a little bit of fortune tellers, but Daniel Jones released from the New York Giants. Goodbye. Middle of the season. Week 12. Daniel Jones. Now, can he be claimed? Is he going to be going anywhere? There's one save to that godforsaken Thursday night Thanksgiving matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. And it rhymes with Daniel Jones in a Cowboy uniform. We get into that a little bit next. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 1063.
Tired of being sidelined by a sports injury? Get back in the game with Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Whether you're a professional athlete or even a weekend warrior, you can get back to doing what you love with our compassionate orthopedic team. Experience a new level of care and get back to your best. Welcome to being treated like a pro. Make an appointment today at baptisthealth.net/ortho or call 833-556-6764.
What's the Anajar Levine difference? When you're injured in a car crash, we focus on your case so you can focus on the one thing that matters most, getting better. I'm Glenn Levine with Anajar Levine. We'll fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. Call our legal team right now for a free consultation, 1-800-747-FREE. We'll help you take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
In office, West Palm Beach.
Florida Atlantic women's basketball season is here. Join head coach Jennifer Sullivan and star guards Maya Perry and Jada Moore at Eleanor R. Baldwin Arena this year for big-time college basketball action. Groups of 15 or more get in free. Single game tickets just $10. The band, the cheerleaders, the fun, the action, it's all there with Florida Atlantic women's basketball. Visit FAUsports.com for more information. Florida Atlantic Owls, winning in paradise.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and Senior Vice President of Men's Sexual Health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Palm Beach County's premier college football event is back. Don't miss the 2024 Boca Raton Bowl, Wednesday, December 18th from FAU Stadium and broadcast live on ESPN. Last year's game saw in-state Rising Power USF beat Syracuse out of the ACC. What will this year's game have in store? Big names, big teams, big action. The 2024 Boca Raton Bowl, December 18th at FAU Stadium on ESPN. Don't miss out. Find out more at BocaRatonBowl.com.
I know you be hearing this and that from here and there, but please trust and believe, little mama.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 1063.
A Friday edition of Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 1063. Daniel Jones dropped from the Giants. Goodbye after 6 seasons as the starting quarterback and a hefty contract, a playoff win later. Daniel Jones is no longer with the New York Giants, probably one of the few players in the league that has really just solidified himself with one franchise. And it's just like when I think of the Giants, I always thought of Daniel Jones. And when I thought of Daniel Jones, I always thought of the Giants. It'd be weird to see him in a different uniform. Now, Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Damian Perez behind the glass over at the City Place Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. Ton of action this weekend, ton of action tomorrow. Ohio State, Indiana. Of course, you got a packed NFL slate this weekend. You get the Lions and Colts. We need the Lions in that game. But if you want to go watch the games and you need a spot to go watch it, especially on Sunday, Mike's got you covered. The action is coming up here on Sunday.
As Colin said, mark your calendars and gear up for game day this Sunday, November 24th. Join Bud Light and the ESPN West Palm Street team at Uncle Mick's in Jupiter. Catch all the action as the New England Patriots face off against the Miami Dolphins from 1 to 3 p.m. Showcase your football skills for a chance to win Bud Light prizes. Enjoy specials on Bud Light and naturals all game long. Must be 21 or older to participate. Southern Eagle reminds you to drink responsibly. Once again, folks, it's this Sunday, November 24th. Join Bud Light and the ESPN West Palm team at Uncle Mick's in Jupiter. We'll see you there.
Well, it was alleged now. We talked about it yesterday. Daniel Jones went to the media after a practice in which he was a scout team safety, essentially. And for what we said, that sounded like a retirement speech. And it did. We were close to being right. I mean, geez.
I know.
Dropped within a day after that, and apparently the New York Giants granted his wish to be released. So Daniel Jones he requested to be out, a mutual understanding between ownership, front office, and Daniel Jones that this is probably the best for the team. And whether this is a distraction type of thing or if this is a Daniel Jones, you know what, I don't need to deal with this anymore. Whatever it may be, I think all parties were probably better off being apart from each other at this point. But the way in which they handled it reflects poorly on the Giants. Them dropping him, he's still going to get his money, big deal. But I just didn't like the way that this closed out. And weirdly enough, he's such a polarizing player. Daniel Jones is somebody that was probably overdrafted. He was the 6th overall pick, and nobody thought he was. Overdrafted, probably a little overplayed, getting 6 years at starting quarterback for the New York Giants.
Agreed.
And overpaid. So he's overplayed, overdrafted, and overpaid. So all three of that, you'd assume that with a negative connotation to this player. To me, he's been dealt bad hands with management, with different front offices, different head coaches, different coordinators. The team always stinks. Not saying he could have done better he certainly could have done better if there was obviously a better supporting cast around him, and he's not that good of a player. But it's not like he was dealt a king's ransom and he blew it all overnight. Wasn't necessarily. He's not the problem. He's part of a much bigger problem that resides within the New York Giants.
Yeah, and he was the answer after Eli Manning, right?
He was supposed to replace him.
He was supposed to replace one of the franchise greats in Eli Manning. So I don't fault the Giants for trying. I fault him for that contract, though. I mean, I think everybody who watched Daniel Jones didn't think he deserved the contract. The contract obviously came after a playoff year. You know, they did beat the Minnesota Vikings and Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. So I understand wanting to be loyal to a player. I understand not wanting to have any questions at the quarterback position. But the problem is you had questions at the quarterback position because he just wasn't good enough. And apparently everyone saw that but the Giants. And the fallout yesterday, I called it Bush League. I called it Caddyshack-esque. I mean, it really was. It was some clown stuff from a pretty good organization in my eyes, the New York Giants. And now, you got Tommy DeVito there to end the year, and you got Drew Lock. So they're going to sell tickets with DeVito because, the big Italian-American faction in New York. And to be honest, Colin, I kind of got behind, as a Sicilian-American, I kind of got behind the whole DeVito thing for the 28 hours that it lasted. But I wonder where the Giants go from here. Do they draft a quarterback? Do they maybe? You think they do?
100%.
It's not even
that
a
is their
question.
number one.
Okay.
And weirdly enough, they have a decent enough roster where they'll be able to win some games with proper, adequate quarterback play. One thing about the Giants, you mentioned they're a pretty well-ran organization. Are they?
They
They're
were.
a historical
Let me rephrase.
organization.
Can I rephrase that? During the Manning years and with Strahan and winning Super Bowls, Usio Manura, botched that name, I know, but they were. Growing up for me, Colin, they really were a stable
15, 20 years
organization.
ago. They haven't won the division since they won the Super Bowl. They haven't won the division since they won the Super Bowl. Probably had 5 head coaches in that range. Probably. I don't have the number in front of me, but Dable, McAdoo, good on the list. Dave, it's been ugly in New York.
Joe Judge.
Colin. Terrible. The Giants are a poorly run organization, and Stephen A. Smith said something interesting on First Take this morning. So the only reason the Giants don't get more flack for this is that in the same building, a worse-ran organization resides in the Jets. That is the only reason that the Giants are able to kind of escape scot-free. They've lost both the playoff games they have played. They've lost both of them in dramatic fashion since that Super Bowl run, and then they had that great win against the Vikings. Then they were terrible.
Right.
They got destroyed. And they that godforsaken yacht year with Odell Beckham Jr. And then they got killed in Green Bay, where they went to Miami right before the game, and then all of a sudden they go to freezing cold weather. They're wearing no shirts and warm-ups, Sterling Shepard, and they drop the egg. So that, to me, it's not a properly run organization. This was not all chalked up to Daniel Jones. This is reflective of a much bigger problem. The Giants should be considered, maybe not as poor, of course, because of the allure, the historical aspect, but they're right there.
The champion.
With the Bears, the Jags, the Jets, the Browns. The Giants are hovering in that area. They're closer to that than middle of the pack.
The problem is, man, and you alluded to it, it's the championships. It's beating Brady. It's the team that got in the way of greatness, of the undefeated season for the Patriots. I guess as a millennial that's, growing up during that prime time.
That's what people remember them for.
That lives rent-free in my head, beating those Patriot teams. So maybe I need to set that aside and start looking at the last 10 years. And everything you laid out in front of me sounds a lot like a dumpster fire. And the number of head coaches is alarming. The hashtag football guy Joe Judge, Ben McAdoo, who is the guy who traded Odell. Granted, it turned out to be a pretty good move.
Is it Shermer?
No, that was, I'm talking GM. I'm sorry.
Oh, Gettleman.
Oh, he was terrible. Gettleman was terrible as well. And he drafted Jones. And like you said, probably overdrafted. But I do give credit to committing to a guy from a team who refuses to commit to a quarterback outside of Deshaun Watson.
And it might have burned them,
right?
But they gave the kid a shot.
They did, and it didn't work. And sure enough, when it didn't work, they let the door hit him on his butt on his way out. And I'll always remember that press conference that Daniel Jones did, Colin. I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe
in
what
hindsight,
I heard yesterday.
It's okay. In hindsight, he's coming out and he's saying he appreciates the fans, he appreciates the team, he appreciates his time in New York. It was a retirement speech. In week 12.
He's not
but you know what I mean? It was a New York Giants retirement speech.
There you go.
In week 12. No wonder we were so confused on why he did that. He was out there, he's a foot out the door.
It sounded like it. And
it was sad.
We alluded it sounded like they already had a deal in place to trade him.
Probably.
That's what I said yesterday. And
Give
sure
me the
enough,
courtesy of saying goodbye to the fans.
I'm surprised they didn't, no one wanted him. No one wanted to trade for him. Did they?
Nobody wants that contract. Yeah. Who would get him?
You're right.
I don't even think he's going to get claimed because then they're beholden to some of that contract.
So he's going to sit there for 2 years and not get picked up by anyone.
No, it's a waiver claim thing. So
Okay.
the Giants are going to have to eat up. I don't know the entire specifics, but he's not going to get claimed because they would have to owe like $15 million in cap this year. And I don't think any team wants to do that. But eventually, when all that clears, the waiver claim clears, then Jones will probably find himself a little bit of a spot. But if somebody wants to claim him, the Dallas Cowboys, talk about how to spice up a Thanksgiving matchup that's terrible. Get Daniel Jones to start in Jerry's world.
No. Why? Can I ask you something, too, by the way, about the Cowboys real quick? Where the hell is Trey Lance?
Yeah, he must stink.
Oh, my
he must
God.
Be terrible.
How are you not giving Trey Lance? Like, I'm sure that's what the Cowboy, I haven't listened to Dallas talk radio, but I'm sure that's come up. Like, how bad is Trey Lance that he's not playing over Cooper Rush?
Yeah.
Anyway.
He must be terrible.
He has to be.
He must be terrible. Unbelievable.
That's right.
But I think the basis of what this Giant argument is yeah, it's your goodbye to Daniel Jones. It's in a good riddance in a lot of sense. It's not necessarily, there's no animosity to a statement like that because he's a classy guy. He held himself well. New York came after him time and time again, and he always took it on the chin. The guy never complained. He never moaned and groaned. He was somebody that showed up every day. I give Daniel Jones credit, and he always played hard. That you could never hold against him. He was not a good player.
You were all for the Cowboys sticking it to the man and going out and signing Daniel Jones and
do it. That would talk about revitalizing a career and making that Thanksgiving game interesting. I love it. I'm for it.
I'd be for
that would be amazing.
I'd be for it on the couch, stuffed to my gills with turkey.
Right.
But outside of my fat bum on Thanksgiving, I don't think that it's going to happen.
I don't think it will happen either. But it would be fun.
It would.
That would add some drama.
Like I said, on my couch, stuffed to the gills full of turkey, ready to go to the gym. Outside of that, no.
But the bottom line is, This tells me more about reflectively, because you want to reflect about Daniel Jones' career with the Giants. This is more a reflection of what the Giants have been since those Super Bowl years, since 2012, essentially.
They're still running on them, to your point.
They have been awful in terms of an organizational dysfunction. Include the Giants with the worst of the worst. Include the Giants with the Jaguars of the world, with the Browns of the world, with the Jets of the world. They're not, maybe not as bad, maybe a step above, but they're closer to the bottom of the back of the litter than they are to the front, and they are to the middle, I would say.
Let me ask you this: combining both rosters, taking the best of the best, would the Jets and the Giants combined roster be a good football team in your eyes?
Yes.
Okay.
Probably. Jets good secondary, Giants good defensive line. You'd put it all together, everything.
Rodgers at quarterback.
Yes, that team would be very good.
I know you hate what ifs.
That team would be very good.
Because I am...
Neighbors, that team would be the best team in the NFL.
I'm going to the point of New York football is a joke.
It's a joke.
It's an absolute joke.
And part of me thinks it's less about the rosters and the coaches. It's more about the ownership. It's more about the upper management, isn't it?
Woody Johnson for the owner for the Jets. Who owns the Giants?
John Mara and Steve Tisch.
Okay.
So it's Mara and Tisch, and Wellington Mara, who's an all-time great owner, who's John Mara's father, of course. But an all-time great owner in Mara, getting the Giants organized, winning Super Bowls in the 80s and the 90s, the Sims years, they were great. Then, of course, you get to the Manning years. They lost to the Ravens back in, 2001 or 2002, whatever it is. And then they had those two prolific Super Bowl victories, including probably the most impactful Super Bowl win this century.
Yeah,
over that undefeated Patriot team. Now, ever since then, Manning or not Manning, a complete colossal disaster near the bottom of the league in terms of dysfunction. That's how bad the Giants are. And you don't associate the Giants because of that.
No.
Nobody associates the Giants with that type of dysfunction.
With where I grew up and how into football I was at the time, I'll always, I give the Giants the right of the pass because of beating those Patriot teams. Do you want to know what's sad, Colin? What's sad is since the glory days of the Manning years, do you want to know what the Giants are most memorable for? That ridiculous catch by Odell. That's it. Outside of that ridiculous catch to Odell Beckham Jr. and a playoff win, and you could scold me all you want, but a playoff win against a bad Viking team who, in my opinion, got lucky a lot of those games in the year where they hosted the Giants in that playoff game.
Giants played great in that game, but I understand.
But they're known for the one-handed catch on, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. That's it. Saquon Barkley for 5 years until you threw him to the curb? We're not even bringing that up.
Yep.
This is the second time they've kind of screwed over, for better words, a player who's kind of given everything to the franchise, right?
People want to play for the Giants. It's clear. They have a fondness to represent the New York Giants. The Jets are a little different. The Jets is that little brother team. But the Giants, Saquon wanted to stay. Jones wanted to be there. I'm not saying they had to keep him, but the way they handled it does not reflect the class that people like Saquon and people like Daniel Jones have reflected upon themselves towards the organization. They handled themselves with class for the most part, and the other side didn't.
I want to make clear, too, Colin and I scream into a microphone how bad Jones is on the field. That's fair play, man. All right? I don't think it's us being contradictory having this take, as I've seen this, Colin, ridiculously enough. I've seen this of people getting upset that we're coming to the back of Daniel Jones, but we're going to bash him on the field. His play on the field is fully open.
It's so erratic.
I agree. And it's open to be critical of him on the field. Off the field is a whole other issue. Him as a person is a whole other issue. You're allowed to be critical of a player on the field, but respect them off the field. That's the point I'm trying to make here. I've seen that circling around social media for a long time now because it's what someone said on ESPN.
Did you see what Ellie Duncan said? She mocked him.
I thought it was a bad take, honestly. If I'm being honest, it was a bad take by her. And
she was out of line.
Great. She's usually great.
She was out of line.
She was out of line. It was
she
very
doubled down,
bad take.
and she doubled down on it and said all the Giant fans, all the Giant fans boo him and everything like that. Hold on a second. You should hold yourself to a higher, no offense, hold yourself to somewhat of a higher standard because you're a sports reporter.
Right.
Because you are on television. The Giant fan booing at a game, they boo Jalen Hurts. They love Hurts. They boo Jalen Hurts in Philly.
Right.
They boo players. And I agree. I don't agree with a lot of the times that people outwardly scold Daniel Jones and everything about that, and he took that on the chin. That's kind of the gist of being a multi-million-dollar pro athlete. But to act like that you're high and mighty and that you're completely right with mocking Daniel Jones is essentially a goodbye and thank you to the city of New York. To act like that you're high and mighty above that when it was comparing yourself to the drunk fan at a football game.
Yeah, I had a real problem
him,
with that. It really upset me.
And they wanted him gone. She said she didn't hold back. She wouldn't hold back one thing she said. He was just saying thank you to the fans. She blamed him for taking the contract. Her words, I don't have the audio here. Her words were, Daniel, I'll rewrite this for you. I took a terrible contract after winning a playoff game. Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Blame the team for that. The team offered him that contract. The team offered to pay him $160 million. The team decided to keep him around. But that's Daniel Jones' fault?
Right. It was a bad take, Colin.
Stupid.
And I appreciate you for shedding light on it because it was a bad take. I was going to have it nameless, but I'm all for it, man.
Who cares?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, who cares?
I'm all for it.
What a phony. Who cares? Unbelievable. Acting all high and mighty above the Giant fan. Because the drunk Giant fan likes to boo Daniel Jones. But you're sitting there on a hosting Sports Center where you're supposed to essentially moderate. And your snide comment about Daniel Jones saying goodbye to the city of New York. Give me a break. Can't take you seriously. Giants near the bottom of the barrel. 888-760-3776. The number to get into the program. That's 888-760-3776. The Giants are bottom 5, maybe 6, 7 maybe in the National Football League in terms of organizational dysfunction. As bad as it gets. We look ahead into the weekend a little bit. Packed games upcoming on the NFL and the NCAA side of things. Ohio State, Indiana. We preview that next. Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Hey, it's your boy JC reminding you to go on YouTube right now. Hit subscribe on Questionable Call with Josh Cohen. Brand new episodes Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The best from sports, stupidity, and social media. Exclusive on YouTube. Questionable Call with Josh Cohen. Hit subscribe now.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen.
Give me a double cheeseburger, a large fry, and an apple pie.
I wake up in the morning with unsportsmanlike, then Theo Dorsey gets theoretical at 2.
What?
On ESPN 106.3.
What the heck was that?
Ready to transform your life? Hexus MD's weight loss solutions are here to help you achieve a healthier, happier you. Get started with semaglutide and trizepatide. No insurance needed. With Hexus MD, experience weight management that fits your lifestyle without quick fixes or fads. Join thousands who've embraced a new way of living. Imagine the confidence, energy, and freedom to live your best life. Start your journey today. Visit HexusMD.com. That's HEXISMD.com. Use discount code ESPN50 for 50% off your first order.
Kaiser University's flagship campus, the 100-acre residential campus at 2600 North Military Trail in West Palm Beach, extends Kaiser University's educational offerings to over 100 degrees in the heart of South Florida. Kaiser University also has an athletic program with 20 national championships, including the 2024 Women's Swimming and Diving Championship and 2023 football, lacrosse, and men's swimming and diving titles. Visit KUSeahawks.com for the latest.
Tickets are on sale now for the Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches. South Florida's only PGA Tour event returns to PGA National February 26th through March 2nd. Watch your favorite golfers compete on the Champions Course while enjoying a new on-site experience filled with local bites, craft cocktails, fan activities, and more. Get ready for a week to remember. Secure your tickets now at thecognizantclassic.com.
Good Greek moving and storage. Your superhero movers.
Hey, it's Josh Cohen for the Accident Attorneys, Anajar and Levine. Car accidents, truck accidents, slip and fall, trip and fall. Did you get injured on the job? Workers' comp problems? My friends Mark Anajar and Glenn Levine, they will fight for you. Remember, they do not get paid unless you get paid, and they will fight to get you the maximum compensation you know you deserve. Here's what you do. You just call. Call Anajar and Levine for your absolutely free consultation. Do not settle for just any attorneys. Demand Anajar and Levine and demand the Anajar and Levine difference. It takes just one phone call to begin to take back control of your life. So do that. Take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-FREE. 1-800-747-3733. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys, take back control of your life.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
With this cold front hitting Florida, 50, 60 degrees, I need a way to stay warm. I don't have a jacket. I don't have a winter jacket. I don't have a coat. Got a couple sweaters, but I do have a beard. The beard keeps me warm. Keeps my face protected from the ghastly winds of 53 degrees over here in South Florida and West Palm Beach. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. I'm growing out my beard for the 9th annual YLS No Shave November fundraising event. This event was created to bring more awareness to men's cancer issues, but also to raise money for the Cancer Alliance of Help and Hope, which is an amazing local nonprofit organization right here in South Florida. The event begins on November 1st and ends with a live shave-off on December 3rd. From 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the iBar and PGA National. If you want to donate to my cause, I am personally raising money. All you have to do is text MEN9 to 71777. That's MEN9 to 71777. You could go see my fundraising page, raising money up until December. If you're feeling generous and you want to help battle cancer, especially for cancer patients, those in Palm Beach County, MEN9 to 71777. Beard check. There's that, as Mike Rizzo says.
Beard check. Beard check.
It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3 live from the City Play Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. 888-760-3776. The number to get into the program, that's 888-760-3776. The Giants are a dumpster fire. They dropped Daniel Jones. More a reflection of the franchise than it was the quarterback, in my opinion. Quarterback's not that good, but who decided to pay him? Who decided to keep him around? Who decided to handle dropping him like this? The Giants.
Right.
Reflection of everything that went poor with that organization ever since they won that Super Bowl. And it goes back to that godforsaken yacht in Miami before that Green Bay Packer playoff game.
Ruined everything. Odell was out the year after.
Oh, that was the talk about
it really was.
Bad omen amongst all bad omen was that game and that play. And the Josh Norman fight, the fiasco.
Yeah, oh, God. Do you remember that?
That was the year that the Panthers were great.
Lost his mind. Odell lost, and I know he's done it multiple times on the sideline. Got thrown out.
Yep. And then he was fighting the net, and the net fought back. Remember that?
And then smacked him in the face.
God. Always in the headlines for the weirdest reasons the New York Giants are. Nonetheless, a packed college football slate this weekend, most notably a big noon kickoff in Ohio State. Indiana, undefeated Indiana, who a lot of the college football world is not sold on. So sitting at 10-0, they haven't played anybody. They played one bowl-eligible team all year, or two, actually. Bowl-eligible teams all year. Sitting at 10-0. Ohio State, of course, at 9-1 at home. They're 11-point favorites now, which means that some of the money is going on Indiana there in that plus 12. But I think Mike and I stand at a bit of a crossroads here.
Yeah, we do.
In terms of how we think this game is going to go. I, for one, will start before Mike goes on the Ohio State will win big. I think Indiana will, number one, stay competitive in this game. I don't think they're going to win. That I agree with. I think Ohio State needs this game. I don't think Indiana needs to win this game in order to get into the playoff, and that's the ultimate goal. Indiana needs to prove to the committee that they are worth something. And how do you prove that? You don't prove that by beating Ohio State, the number 2 team in the country, on the road in a tight road game. It does prove it. It's not the baseline, the floor of proving it. Proving it is hanging around in the game and giving Ohio State a fight. That, to me, is proving that Indiana is probably worth a ranking high enough to make the college football playoff. In my book, they need to cover, and if they cover that 11, 12-point spread, I think they're okay for the college football playoff.
I think Ohio State covers the spread. I think they come out playing like their hair is on fire because, Colin, this is like, you lose this game, I know you just said it.
They make it dicey to get into the playoff.
Dude, it does.
They probably still get in, but it makes it dicey. Yeah.
At home, and I know you and a couple of listeners get upset when I say Indiana's a basketball school, but they are. And I stand by what I say. If Ryan Day can't beat a basketball school with a $20 million roster and advantages at every single position, maybe outside of the offensive line because of how hurt the Buckeyes are. He should not be the coach of this team. You got to win this game. It's a must-win for the Buckeyes. I think Ryan Day is treating it like that. The players are treating it like that. And I go back to what Emeka Egbuka and Caleb Downs, the transfer from Alabama, the fantastic safety, probably one of the best safeties in college football, said after the Oregon game. We never want to feel like that ever again. We never want to feel like that ever again this season. We have expectations. It's championship or bust. I think you're going to see that mentality come out of the Buckeyes. Colin, I'm very worried about the O-line, though. McLaughlin, another transfer from Alabama, who has been the heart and soul of that Ohio State offensive line, is out for the year, and that is the third offensive lineman the Ohio State Buckeyes have lost that is a starter. So you have three backups. I know, Colin, they're 4-star, 5-stars. They're really good players. But you have four backups in a must-win game, and in a Chip Kelly offense where running the football is everything. So I am worried about the O-line. Outside of that, I like the Ohio State matchups at the receiver position, at the DB position. Go down the line, Kyle. The Buckeyes should win this game, and if they don't win this game, Ryan Day doesn't deserve to be the head coach.
The way I look at this is Indiana has to prove something to the committee. Now, I agree with you that Ohio State will win. Will you be upset if it's a close game?
Honest, probably not. I'm going to be relieved.
I think if Indiana gives them a fight and it's a close game, Ohio State escapes, then you're coming out of that thinking Indiana's for real.
That, and I also think at the same time, it's good for the Big Ten, right?
Because part of me is thinking, you're expecting Ohio State to win big, and if they don't win big, then it's a testament to this is a basketball school. This team's not any good, and we lost. But it's less of a testament to Indiana's actually might. We don't know. Jury's out, but they might be really, really good.
And the good comparison you bring up that I troll with Penn State because I want Penn State to be good because that's the best win on Ohio State's record, Ohio State's schedule. But to your point of what's the difference between Indiana and Penn State, Colin, I'll answer it now. I'm ready to answer the question. The only difference is that Ohio State only beat Penn State by 7, and Penn State had a chance to win that game, and they failed at every turn. If the same thing happens in Columbus and Indiana loses by 7, guess what, Colin? Indiana's loss to Ohio State is better because it's in Columbus.
Yeah, they have more of a leash, and they're undefeated.
I'll be if Indiana loses by 7, or say Colin loses by 10 or 12, but it does. But at the end of the game,
35-25 game.
At the end of the game, we look at each other and go, "That was closer than a 12-point game." Mad respect, bro. Absolutely mad respect. But as a spoiled brat Buckeye fan that I've been my whole life, man, if Ryan Day, and you laugh at me for this, but this is how we operate. Ryan Day is a game-by-game coach. Like Purdue and Northwestern, all right, you're not losing those games. But Penn State, game by game. This Indiana game that's turned into something, game by game. And you want to know what, partner? I'm not, until I see zeros on the scoreboard against those cheating you-know-whats that are a state north of me, I don't even know if we could beat that team. They're 5-5. I have no idea if we can win. We haven't won that game in 3 years. So, game-by-game basis with Coach Day. And like I said, this isn't me saying Ryan Day is a bad person. Ryan Day is a great guy, family man, an outstanding civilian. But I'm sick of him not being able to win the big game, and I'm sick of him having loaded teams and doing absolutely nothing. This is the year for the Buckeyes. Beat Indiana, beat them good, and let's have some fun when I want to say the B word so bad, when those you-know-whats from Michigan come to Columbus.
I would make the argument, I know it's a rivalry game, and rivalry games the records do not matter, and they're always going to put up a fight because it just means more. But this Indiana game, to me, has a lot more juice due to the implications, of course, but I think Ohio State is going to get more of a fight tomorrow against Indiana than they would against Michigan.
My problem is this. Michigan has it up front, but they don't have it anywhere else. They have it on the O-line. They have it on the D-line.
They're going to play a muddied-up game.
That has been the key, Kyle, for Michigan beating Ohio State the last couple of years has been the line of scrimmage battle. The famous thing that we looked at each other and would say after those games, my Buckeye Brass and I, they wanted it more. They wanted it more. They won the trenches. The D-line, their D-line dominated. Their O-line dominated. They got every big third down with Corum because it was 3rd and 2 every freaking time. But I think this Buckeye team is hungry. And I go back to what they said after Oregon. They never want to feel like that again for the rest of the season. Prove it, baby.
All right, you don't need to. All right, stop. You're not giving a locker room speech. You're not giving a locker room speech.
Prove it.
Point is, Indiana has an opportunity here to really prove to the committee in terms of implications that they deserve in the college football playoff. I would make the argument that an 11-1 Indiana should, unless they get killed 56-0,
that's not going to happen.
Should get into the playoff regardless because you play the teams you play. The Big Ten does not schedule the games in their Big Ten schedule to accommodate Indiana. They never have. They never will. And that should not be held against them in any sense, especially when they win in the manner that they do and when they've essentially killed everybody. I do not think that should be held against Indiana by any testament to the strength of schedule. I think once you get to the 2-loss, the 3-loss range, and you're kind of arguing over those at-larges towards the back half of those at-large bids, I think that's when you could get into the strength of schedule, and especially within the same conference. That is when that argument comes up. Teams like Texas versus the Tennessees of the world or versus the Georgias of the world. I think that is where there's a little bit more of an argument to me. And if you win 11 games and you win 10 of them handily, and it's been clear cut and you're a story and it's fun, I don't know why you screw over that team. They got 10 starters defensively from James Madison. 10 defensively.
Quickly, we agree if Texas loses against A&M, they're out.
That's an elimination.
They're out.
This is interesting.
Dude.
We brought up
They're
elimination games. So this is why you expand the playoff. We talked about it a little earlier this week, but this is why you do it. Because now there's elimination games. And elimination games either on either side or on one side. Either side. Notre Dame, Army. If Army wins that game, Army's probably going to get that bid to that playoff. They're probably going to leapfrog Boise State.
And Notre Dame's out.
And Notre Dame's probably out at 2 losses. On top of that, BYU, Arizona State. Colorado's probably got an easy path into that Big 12 championship game. BYU and Arizona State don't as much. Arizona State would get that bid into that game if they beat BYU.
Yeah.
And so that is both sides, 3:30 kick tomorrow, both sides an elimination game.
Yep.
Arizona State, BYU, Indiana, Ohio State. I don't think that's an elimination game as much, but you have an elimination game with BYU, Arizona State. That's why you expand the playoff.
And quickly, Colin, more Big 12 takes. Shame on Mike Gundy and the Oklahoma State Cowboys because that was supposed to be an elimination game.
Everybody was so wrong about the Big 12. It was incredible.
Yeah, I gave the edge to Oklahoma State.
Top to bottom.
I gave the edge,
so wrong.
brother. I gave the edge to Oklahoma State, and I feel like an idiot.
Yeah, it's not like we knew. It's not like we knew anything about the Big 12 coming into the season.
But Ollie Gordon, Alec Bowman, like a loaded offense, and they just fell on their face. But yeah, Big 12 kind of wide open. How about Arizona State though? How about the way things shook out that they have a chance to make the college football playoff?
They played great.
Crazy.
Another elimination game. This is only on one end of things, but Texas A&M and Penn State. Texas A&M at Auburn. Penn State at Minnesota. Pesky games. You'd think it'd be a cleanup crew and that, but now you have teams that have pressure. These teams have pressure to win games. Teams that are not usually used to the pressure to stay in the hunt. Texas A&M and Penn State. Penn State loses these types of games.
I was about to say.
They drop one of these a year. The pressure gets to these teams. These are college kids we're talking about. These are going to be risky games. A&M's got a huge game next week. You think they want to play on the road at Auburn this week? Absolutely not. Now, Penn State, this is the real last big test of the year. I think they have Purdue the last game of the year. But Penn State, for that matter, this is a risky day. Maryland, excuse me.
Yeah, they
last week.
Smacked Penn State in Indiana last week.
Right. But there's pressure.
Yep.
This is going to be an intriguing, implication-oriented weekend.
You talk about the players for Penn State feeling the pressure. I think it's the coach.
Absolutely.
I think it's Franklin.
Absolutely.
And if they, Colin, their only team on the schedule was Ohio State. And I know I nonetheless troll saying Penn State's a good team because the Buckeyes beat them. Obviously, that's what I'm going to do. But if Howard doesn't fumble out of the end zone, I think that's a 2-score game. So
it's in their building.
And putting that in perspective, if they can't go undefeated against Maryland, Minnesota, Purdue, Washington, Wisconsin, USC, yada, 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 you're in some trouble. And let's not forget how close that USC game was. That's when I was still sold on USC because they played Penn State tough. Come to find out, Penn State's kind of phony, and Lincoln Riley's on the hot seat. So the Big Ten, we're all in agreements outside of Oregon and Ohio State and possibly Indiana, pending how they play the Buckeyes. Very down year for the Big Ten after they had 2 teams last year in the championship. And yes, I am counting Washington. You could call me a Big Ten homer. But 2 teams last year in the national championship game.
Absolutely. And in implication games is why you're doing this. College football's biggest problem was the games really did not matter outside of the top 4 or 5 teams for the last 3 or 4 weeks of the year. Now, Ole Miss plays Florida at Florida. You think they want to play that game? Coming off a bye, I get that. But coming off the high of such a big win over Georgia, this is a risky game.
I wonder how
Ole Miss knows it.
I wonder how Jackson Dart's going to handle the pressure too, Colin. You saw him handle it pretty well. Now, I know he got hurt early, but you saw him.
He was great again. Yeah, he played well against Georgia.
You saw him play well against Georgia. Let's see what happens this weekend. It's in the Swamp, too.
And all Florida's thinking. Spoiler. Let's ruin a season. Because that, in a lot of ways, is a rivalry game win at that. Let's go ruin another SEC team's season. That is the ultimate gotcha in college football.
And Napier, they played hard from dating back to that Georgia game, okay? Rewind 3 weeks back, Florida was kind of back, all right? And I know Billy Napier and that staff and those kids would want nothing more
and they
than
rolled
to get
out there
another
against
win.
Texas was basically you and I playing quarterback, so that's why they got destroyed in that. So I understand that I can't hold that against them, but if Lagway's playing, Lagway's healthy, that team plays pesky and they play hard for Napier.
I want mayhem. I want Texas to lose to Texas A&M and give the committee a decision.
Give them a decision.
Give them a decision. Colin, give them a decision.
Make them hold Tennessee out. Make them keep Indiana in. Make them do something. We're only going to get a couple, probably 1 or 2, 3 more years tops of this format before they probably expand again. Let's have some fun while we're here. Russo Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. If you're not in the playoff, though, maybe you get lucky, get placed into the Boca Bowl at FAU Stadium December 18th. Mike can tell you all about it.
Folks, 5:30. As Colin alluded to, December 18th, we are kicking off with the 11th annual Boca Raton Bowl. Tickets go on sale December 3rd, but I got just the thing for you. You can get your 2024 pre-sale sign-up by going to BocaRatonBowl.com/tickets. That is BocaRatonBowl.com/tickets. I urge you all to listen every Wednesday, Boca Bowl Weekly with myself, Mike Rizzo. We break down all of the big news in college football. We go through all the standings. We give out awards, the Boca Bowl Weekly Award for the previous weekend of action. We preview the next up-and-coming games. We preview the college football playoff. Anything college football related, we do on Boca Bowl Weekly. So give it a listen on Wednesdays after Russo and Rizzo. With the holiday, folks, we will not be doing a Boca Bowl Weekly this week, but we're right back in the saddle the following week. And I urge you all again, get those 2024 pre-sale signups now by going to BocaRatonBowl.com/tickets. One more time, BocaRatonBowl.com/tickets. Tickets will be on sale the 3rd, but you can get that pre-sale now.
We'll loop Damian Perez into the conversation, do a little 5 and 5 next on Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
ESPN West Palm is highlighting the best performance of the week, presented by Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Every week, a different team will be featured across ESPN 106.3 and ESPN West Palm Play. The winning performance receives $500, courtesy of Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Do you know a team, player, or school with a killer performance? Nominate them by emailing highschool@espnwestpalm.com. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Go where the pros go.
Florida Atlantic women's basketball season is here. Join head coach Jennifer Sullivan and star guards Maya Perry and Jada Moore at Eleanor R. Baldwin Arena this year for big-time college basketball action. Groups of 15 or more get in free. Single game tickets just $10. The band, the cheerleaders, the fun, the action, it's all there with Florida Atlantic women's basketball. Visit FAUsports.com for more information. Florida Atlantic Owls, winning in paradise.
Anajar and Levine.
Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 106.3.
WUUB Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-277-3355. That's 800-277-3355. 800-277-3355.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Time now for a PNC pause. PNC Bank is committed to making a difference in the lives of the customers they serve in the South Florida community. See how at PNC.com. You're listening to ESPN 1063.
Hey golf fans, Colin Russo here. Looking to improve your game? Flagstick Golf Performance, the ultimate indoor golf experience, is now open in Boynton Beach. With 3 indoor simulators and a state-of-the-art putting studio, Flagstick helps players at all levels up their game. Get lessons from experts, try the latest clubs, or just come up for a round in the simulators. You can track your stats and see real improvement. Flagstick is where serious golfers and beginners find their edge. Bring your friends or family and enjoy golf like never before. Visit flagstickgolfperformance.com to book your session.
Hey, it's your boy JC reminding you to go on YouTube right now. Hit subscribe on Questionable Call with Josh Cohen. Brand new episodes Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The best from sports, stupidity, and social media. Exclusive on YouTube. Questionable Call with Josh Cohen. Hit subscribe now.
Banyan Printing, your trusted printing, mailing, and signage partner in the Palm Beaches for over 45 years. Banyan Printing's new metallic ink press adds that extra shine so that your product comes out in glossy gold, sparkling silver, or any other color you want to shine. Banyan Printing is the official printer of Kaiser Athletics and would love to be your official printing partner as well. Order products and learn more about what Banyan Printing can do for your business at banyanonline.com or call 561-586-6220.
Florida Atlantic women's basketball season is here. Join head coach Jennifer Sullivan and star guards Maya Perry and Jada Moore at Eleanor R. Baldwin Arena this year for big-time college basketball action. Groups of 15 or more get in free. Single game tickets just $10. The band, the cheerleaders, the fun, the action, it's all there with Florida Atlantic women's basketball. Visit FAUsports.com for more information. Florida Atlantic Owls, winning in paradise.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
All into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo! Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 1063.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Colin!
ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter officially announced that quarterback Brock Purdy of the San Francisco 49ers is inactive for Sunday's game against the Green Bay Packers on the road in Lambeau. Brock Purdy injured his shoulder yesterday in practice, his throwing shoulder, that is, experienced discomfort, left practice, now already labeled as inactive. Brandon Allen, for those who remember that name, Brandon Allen will be starting in place of Brock Purdy. This is last year they would have been better, okay with Sam Darnold back there. But Brandon Allen, geez, he's a former Jag. Point is, Niners next 2 games, at Packers, at Bills. Sitting at 5-5 and with the tiebreakers at the bottom of the division. Are we done?
Yeah,
we're
they're
done.
They're
This
done.
is it.
This is it. Colin, I wanted to be done with them when they lost to the Seahawks last Sunday after having a lead in that game and blowing it in the fourth quarter. They're all done without their starting quarterback.
This is a problem. Yeah.
And one could argue that they were even done with Brock Purdy. I mean, let's go to the playoff race. If you go to the playoff race, the Commanders are 7-4. The Green Bay Packers are 7-3.
You got to draw us a path where the Niners can make the playoffs.
And something you point out all the time, that damn schedule. They still play the brats of their schedule at the end of the season.
Yep.
So they needed to have a good record going into that, and they don't. And I like a team like the Rams more in their division. I still don't buy the Seahawks, which is probably in poor taste by me.
And they still have another game against the Cardinals.
Right. So how about that? Mike Rizzo's Super Bowl pick is about to not make the playoffs. How dumb do I feel?
Unbelievable. No Brock Purdy and if they're announcing it now, that means it must be a fairly significant injury for them to turn to Brandon Allen already, especially at Lambeau. Weather's probably not going to be pretty. That's going to be a tricky game for the Niners
Brandon
to
Allen,
really churn something together.
You know him because he played for your team.
Well, played is a word.
But
Shoot it up.
Colin, I looked at you and I said, is that the kid from Texas A&M from like a decade ago?
Former Jag. Terrible. But, so Brock Purdy, inactive for Sunday's game against the Green Bay Packers.
I wanted to ask you, and I know we got the 5-5 here, but Colin, what's the update on a one called the Silver Fox, Doug Peterson? That guy still has a job?
And incredible that he does. I'll do this quickly. He
has keys to the building?
I'll do this quickly.
How is that possible?
Imagine putting yourself in that position. What do you say to the owner after you were 3-17 in your last 20 games and you lost 52-6 and gave up the most efficient offensive performance in 12 years? What do you say to the owner so that you don't get fired? Incredible. Sounds like they're going to keep him till the end of the year, and they're just going to do a full clean house, shave it all off at once. Whatever. I could deal with that. The problem is Jacksonville has a pretty easy back half of the schedule. They still have to deal with the Titans twice. They still have to deal with the Colts again. This is a relatively easy back half of the schedule. If they churn together a couple phony, bogus wins, 2 or 3 that makes them look good.
You going to be angry?
Yes, I'm going to be angry. Not for the draft. I don't care about the draft pick. They've had 2 number 1 overall picks. But I don't care about the draft pick.
The Silver Fox has a Super Bowl.
I care about that owner's blind loyalty to Trent Baalke, the general manager, and Doug Peterson, the head coach. That's enough on Jacksonville. Damien Perez, how you doing today? What's going on?
Owner Khan.
Doing great, man. Enjoying this weather.
You like this, huh?
I love it. It's just a change.
Yeah, I feel like
Florida.
It does make you feel like it's fall.
For sure.
I feel like the Floridians, this is their time.
Oh, yeah.
And
you
I am
only
a
enjoy
Floridian
it.
now,
You only enjoy it for like 2-3 weeks.
Now, Damien, I know you have some ties to the Northeast, but you're a Southern Hemisphere, like this area, like
yeah.
You have connections in where?
I was born in Jersey, but I've been living here my entire life.
Your entire life.
Yeah,
so you're the southern part of the United States is your neck of the woods.
He's a Floridian. Yep. But Colin, we're Floridians too. How about that?
Getting there. Let's get to a little 5 at 5.
Number 1.
Daniel Jones was released by the New York Giants today after basically saying goodbyes yesterday in a press conference. Who could you see signing Jones?
It's a real Colin.
Need I say it?
Dude, it's never going to happen.
Dallas Cowboys.
It's never going to happen. They have Trey Lance already.
Start him against the Giants on Thanksgiving Day.
They have Cooper Rush, who Jerry Jones loves for some reason. I mean, how bad? We talked about this earlier. How bad does Trey Lance stink that he can't start over Cooper Rush?
Yeah, you know one that makes a lot of sense that people have been talking about?
What's that?
Carolina Panthers. From North Carolina, played at Duke. It's a small market team. He's going to be out of the limelight. Go be a backup. Be a viable backup at that. Either it's going to be something like that, or he's going to go to a really, really good team that needs a backup. Watch San Francisco call him. See this Brock Purdy injury.
You might have convinced me there, but is he better than Brandon Allen? Obviously, I'm trolling.
Yeah,
but
I watched Shanahan turn him into a Hall of Famer.
I'm trolling, but
wouldn't that be the ultimate?
The only
gotcha
to those teams, Colin. I agree with both those teams you just said. The only other team I could possibly see could be the Raiders, but I think they're drafting a quarterback. It doesn't make much sense to bring in that. I don't know how much you're going to have to pay him. I'm sorry.
And they're not trying to salvage anything,
yeah,
too.
I don't know the the nuances of the contract, but you know what Browns fans are saying today. Well, minus outside of Jameis Winston leading the Browns to win the first Super Bowl ever. Outside of that, there are a couple of Browns fans in the brass that would like to sign Daniel Jones to back up Deshaun Watson next year.
No Jameis?
The realistic fans like myself know that the whole Winston thing is just to end the year. I love Jameis. I think he's a good dude. I appreciate.
He's fun. He's entertaining.
It'll be a fun way to end the year. But let's be honest. Outside of being a backup quarterback, Jameis probably won't be back with the Browns next yeyear. But that win was fun last night. Thank you, Jameis. But at the same time, like, you would have Daniel Jones if you do that. You'd have Daniel Jones. You'd have DW. You'd have Deshaun Watson. That's a nightmare quarterback room for me, personally.
Mr. Perez, where do you think Daniel Jones can sign?
How about Tennessee?
Not a bad idea.
With the Will Levis experiment?
Do you think I could see it as well? But you know the Callahans, they're good coaches. They know this year's a wash.
And it's a matter of what they think. Do they want to start? Do they want to draft a quarterback to start him immediately, or do you draft a quarterback to let him sit behind somebody like Jones?
What's the difference right now between Levis and Jones?
Jones would be a better veteran to be ahead of a prospective rookie quarterback.
You think he would understand the role more than Levis? Levis is a guy who's trying to be a starter in the league. Daniel Jones knows he's probably going to be a lifelong backup at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
I think Levis drives Callahan absolutely crazy. Callahan being the Tennessee Titans head coach.
Absolutely.
Drives him crazy. Daniel Jones is not going to drive you crazy. He's not going to play great. He's not going to drive you crazy.
He'll drive you crazy, too.
He'll drive you crazy with how erratic he is.
Right.
Either he plays a game, you're like, this guy's good.
You want to know what?
Or he plays a game, he's like, this guy's never played football.
Just run the read option. That's all he wants to do anyway. I feel like all Daniel Jones wants to do is lower that shoulder and hit somebody anyway.
Number 2.
The Broncos at Chargers game got flexed for the Thursday Night Football next week after the NFL put their foot down and basically said, we do not want to see the Bengals at Browns game. Is the NFL power tripping?
This is the first time they've done this.
Can I start first?
Please.
Yeah, they are. How the hell do you tell a team, yeah, you're playing Thursday now? You got a short week. Even though
against a divisional opponent that late in the year.
It's ridiculous. You set these games for a reason before the year. I understand that, Colin, the NFL is entertainment. It's listed as entertainment. I know that they're just trying to put the best product on TV. And what do we always say about the third? Now, I do want to say Thursday's on a hot streak. They've had 2 good games, damn near 3 good games in a row now.
3.
So I understand wanting to put your best product on primetime, but you can't look at a team in a playoff. Colin, this isn't week 3, brother. This is towards the end of the year. They're fighting for playoff spots. You can't look at a team and go, short week. Can't do it. I think it's Bush week.
Yeah, it's the second Thursday game that the Broncos will have to play this year, too, which cannot make them happy, especially it being a road game. And that, to me, it's not the right move. I knew this was going to come up, but this is going to be two road Thursday night playoff games that the Broncos have to play. One in New Orleans and one in L.A. They killed them in New Orleans. Fair. That's brutal. That's brutal.
Yeah, and you know the kind of team.
And it's a new rule. This is week 13 through 17. They have to give 28 days notice if they wanted to flex it. So the fan is better off, but the team gets screwed.
Right, and Khaki Pants' Chargers are a physical football team, too.
It's not a fun game to play.
No.
And they already and Chargers beat them the first time. Now it's an important game for Denver, too.
Right.
And you're shortening that week. Denver gets a little screwed there.
And all of a sudden, it's sweaty palm times when it comes to that 7th spot. You got the Chargers at 5-6. The Dolphins have won a couple. And then fair play to you, by the way, for pointing that out to me, that the Dolphins kind of have an easy schedule.
There's a path there.
There's a path for the Dolphins. There's the Colts all of a sudden. Anthony Richardson threw for 300 yards and is a franchise quarterback, apparently.
They're going to get blundered against.
Correct. The Lions on our punchline picks. But at the same time, tough one to swallow if you're the Broncos, man.
Tricky spot. Number 3.
George Pickens blamed the Steeler loss on the snow and continued to bash the Browns by telling the media they're not a good football team. Is this a bad look for Pickens?
Horrible. I'm sick of this. So I put this on here, obviously. I am beyond tired of when the Browns beat divisional opponents of going, yeah, we lost to them, but they suck. Dude, you just got your ass beat. How much of a loser can you possibly be in the locker room going, yeah, we just lost, but they suck. Well, that means you suck too,
hold on.
dude.
Isn't the win enough?
I'm tired of. I guess I'm tired of being the butt to every joke. I'm tired of being known as the Browns, the miserable organization.
The win is not enough.
I'm tired of being a miserable and being known as the punch to every joke, a miserable organization. Yeah, they just kicked our ass for 4 quarters in the snow, but you know what? They still suck. Screw you, dude. You sound like a loser, and that's what Pickens is, a loser. Thank you, Colin. I needed to do that.
Good player. Weird player. He just likes to assault people.
I mean, did you see that after the game?
Come on, this is like the 4th time he's done it. Like, he just does this.
I mean, Greg Newsome can get under people's skins. I understand that he's a trash talker and a very good one. But at the same time, you look back at that replay by Pickens. Newsome barely did anything, and he's just throwing him by the face mask. Grow up, dude. Honest God, it's always the Steelers receivers.
He did it against the Commanders too. Oh, very strange.
It's always the Steelers receivers that are just the dirtiest players. This goes back to Hines Ward. You know, everyone thinks a Hines Ward is a model citizen and a model player. That, was one of the dirtiest players in NFL history. Rant over.
It's AFC North, though. AFC North has had their fair share of dirty players. You want to talk about your boy Garrett? I mean, let's.
He's not.
You have a half hour?
Come on, stop. It was one play.
Everybody's heart stops when he picks up a helmet.
I want to say.
He's not a dirty player.
Something was said. I believe something was said.
But the offensive line wasn't pissed.
The NFL refused to release the audio. Okay. Why haven't we heard the audio from that play?
So Mason Rudolph said something, but his offensive line came to his defense. If he said something so abhorrent that it would piss off Myles Garrett, you're insinuating.
Where's the audio?
You're insinuating something racial, unless it's something family. You're insinuating something racial. His offensive line is not going to come to his defense for that. I know this is 4 years ago.
Colin, you could say something and not have it be heard by the brass.
Hold on. Garrett was right next to them. Garrett was right next to them.
Garrett and him were locked up.
Mike.
Something was said.
He took a helmet and he bashed him over the head with it.
Something was said.
He bashed. This guy is maybe the top 0.00001% of physical specimens ever to walk this earth. And he takes a metal club and hits a guy over the head with it.
Something was said. That's right.
I don't know why the Pouncey brothers were going out where the Marquise Pouncey was defending him, but I understand.
But the Steelers are. Colin, this is a loser look. Honest to God.
The Bengals did this with perfect. There is dirty players all throughout that division. That's what it is. It's the gritty football division.
Now that I've calmed down a bit, okay, it's still a loser move. Obviously, Pickens is a good player. He's probably a good kid, all right? But honest God, this is a loser move to do that at the end of the game after just.
Yeah, he's making this his persona. He's making this his persona. And he's making this his brand. I don't know
listen,
why.
I apologize. Obviously, poor taste by me to call the young man a loser. But at the same time, that's not what winning football players say. It's in poor taste, and I'm very tired of my team being the butt of a joke. Now, we just beat you, dude.
Now,
have some respect. Have some respect.
Respect?
Yes, respect. You just lost in a good game, one of the games of the year,
Who's
in a beautiful snowstorm.
Who's your quarterback? Respect? Stop telling me about respect. Who's your quarterback?
Stop it. It's not Colin. He's injured. My quarterback's Jameis Winston. For the record, I was never behind the Deshaun Watson signing. So.
For the record?
For the record, all right. Were we excited at the time that maybe it could resolve into wins? Sure, but no one wanted that. The only one that wanted that was the owner, and no one could convince me that. All right, Andrew Berry didn't pick that guy.
We've done so much. We've done this 100 times. No, thank you. We'll move on. Number 3.
4.
Number 4.
Michigan is going to be paying the number 1 quarterback prospect, Bryce Underwood, north of $10 million to come to Michigan after flipping from LSU. How bad is the NIL business going to get?
And Damien, I want to get your thoughts on this as well. This is ugly. $10 million? I know it was $8 million a couple days ago. Now it's up to 12.
You got Barstool involved.
They called it a Godfather deal.
You got our guy Portnoy.
Well, they had Brady involved. They had their top booster involved. In order for you to make this worth it, $10 million.
Yeah. And
he would have to play every single year. He's not going to.
I respect Portnoy, all right, for the record. I know a lot of people don't like Dave. I like Dave Portnoy, all right? And who am I to tell him how to spend his money?
That's not all his money, though. That's a lot of booster money, too. I think you chimed in, just to be clear.
Fair enough, all right? But he's still probably footing a lot of that bill. And then from my understanding, Mike Jones, by the way, is our partnership coordinator here at ESPN West Palm, from Michigan, big Michigan fan. He told me that a media organization is involved on this as well. Colin, they're in charge. The media organization that he made a deal with, they break his breaking news. That's the agreement. He's going to get a couple $1 million from this media organization, a Michigan bias-based organization, media organization, and they are in charge of breaking his breaking news. Does this not have nightmare written all over it? Honest to God.
The golden chariot they're trying to deliver to this kid's front lawn is absolutely insane. I understand he's the number one player in the country. There is no collegiate player that is currently 18, 19 years old that is worth this type of aggravation and this type of logistics just to get him to maybe play 1 or 2 years for your football team. Damien, what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, this is also added pressure for the kid.
True.
Coming in, being the $10 million man, like, you have to perform and you have to be almost flawless.
You throw one interception and they're talking about wasting
on your
money.
head.
Yeah.
And let's flip it a little bit to the coaches. Do you want to know who's having a rough day? Is Brian Kelly. This was his prized recruit that he got to come to LSU to not go to his hometown Michigan, and then Michigan comes in with a king's ransom. Do you want to know something, too?
You almost got to feel bad.
I really do. I really do, because not only Kelly, this completely almost busts his recruiting class, because no matter who they bring in is probably going to measure up to this kid. Number two, they're having a terrible season. And how about Sharon Moore, Colin? Going into the year with two quarterbacks that probably belong in the MAC and a running back in what was his name? Alex Orji, sorry. How important is the quarterback position, man? They're paying $10 million for the number one prize quarterback to come to Michigan because they know that Sharon Moore screwed up not managing the quarterback position before the year.
Very strange. And good on him for recruiting well, but I mean, I can't give anybody. It's not like I can't give Sharon more credit for getting this prospect.
I know you can't. And I want to ask you, what did you make of Michigan not doing a coaching search and hiring from within? What did you make of the Sharon Moore?
No problem. No problem at all. Because he coached well. But
it's hard. Colin, it was so much of Harbaugh still around, I feel like.
True.
Part of the game
he was allowed to be in the building. But Sharon Moore won those games.
Colin, I always say this. You got to be your own person. You got it in whatever you do. If it's radio, if it's coaching, if it's a desk job, you got to be your own person. He's trying to be Harbaugh to a fault.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Did you see his Did you see his press conference at the Big Ten? He basically copy and pasted Coach Harbaugh's speech.
All right, who cares what he says at the Big Ten
and
media?
then how he handles him, dude. I feel like he was just trying to be
eccentric. Harbaugh's out there. Sharon Moore does that a little.
He's trying to be Jim Harbaugh, and that never works when you try to be somebody else. I was very surprised when they didn't open up the floodgates for head coaching.
Because they won. They just won a national title. Why wouldn't you promote from within? You don't think that they lost their defensive coordinator and their head coach. Their head coach is probably going to be slated to win the Coach of the Year this year in the NFL. No wonder they took a step back. If anything, this proves further that he probably was the right man for that because they're entrusting him with this amount of money to develop this much of a good class of players after they lost quarterbacks, offensive linemen, they lost their running back, they lost their defensive coordinator who's probably going to get a head coaching job soon. They lost Harbaugh. Yeah, they had a bad year this year. Any Michigan fan in the world would trade that for what happened last year. They would trade it any day of the week. Yep. And the fact that they're able to reload like this, I know there's money involved, and I know it's kind of phony, it's pay to play. This tells you that this was the right move.
And this was the first year they weren't allowed to cheat as well. So
everybody cheated. They didn't cheat against Ohio State last year in the big game. What happened then? Without Harbaugh.
Damage was done.
Uh-huh. Talk about stealing signs. They didn't steal signs that game.
Damage was done.
Uh-huh. Let's move on. We got one number 5.
Number 5.
The robo-umps will be used during spring training this season. How long until they take over the regular season?
What do you make of this? Because
this is another step. This is a step forward.
It really is. And we saw them do this with the pitch clock before. But here's my question, Colin. If we have robo-umps, I don't want to say what's the point of an umpire, but I'm going to ask you the question. What is the point of an umpire?
Well, they eliminate the human error of baseball. That's what they do. And the traditionalist value of baseball is that, baseball is kind of beautiful because it has human error attached from a third party like an umpire. They have the replay assistance with the base tagging, so you usually don't screw those up. It's the only thing is the calls at the plate. You get rid of that. I mean, some people like it, some people don't. I'm in favor of the human error. It changes up the game. It changes up the strategy behind it. And call me, and vying for the tradition at this point. But if they're trying it in spring training, it's a step closer. And I think a lot of it had to do with the erratic umpire calls, I should say.
In the playoffs.
In the World Series especially, too. But yeah, that's my take there.
I'm right there with you. I really prefer the old school aspect of an umpire. But, Colin, I really do worry. But the biggest take I want to lay across here, I do worry for the umpires' jobs because if they're calling balls and strikes, it's only a matter of time. Do you have an automated umpire calling something at the plate?
In the Major League Baseball, that's what's going to happen. We'll see. We got to talk to Fat Jack at FatJackSports.com next. Get the biggest takes, biggest trends, biggest picks of the week. Stick around for that. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
ESPN West Palm is highlighting the best performance of the week, presented by Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Every week, a different team will be featured across ESPN 106.3 and ESPN West Palm Play. The winning performance receives $500, courtesy of Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Do you know a team, player, or school with a killer performance? Nominate them by emailing highschool@espnwestpalm.com. Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Go where the pros go.
It's ESPN 106.3, your home for live sports presented by Hard Rock Bet. Home of the Miami Dolphins, Miami Hurricanes, and all of the biggest football matchups throughout the week. Hard Rock Bet, it's Florida's official sports book. Try Hard Rock Bet now and receive up to $100 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not win. Hard Rock Bet, roll with us. It's offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned by gambling, call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys at 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-FREE. Listen, if you were in an accident, car accident, truck accident, slip and fall, trip and fall, injured on the job, workers' comp issues, call Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. They will fight for you. They do not get paid unless you get paid, and they will fight to get you the maximum compensation that you know that you deserve. Do not deal with the insurance companies on your own. That's impossible. They make it as such. Anajar and Levine will help you to take back control of your life. Again, you'll always talk about your case with an actual attorney. They answer the phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help you to take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Car accidents, truck accidents, slip and fall, trip and fall. Call Anajar and Levine, my accident attorneys. Anajar and Levine, accident attorneys. Take back control of your life.
Business owners, are your employees driving you nuts? Is money tight? Or have you just poured your heart and soul into your business and now it's time to retire and just relax? At Transworld Business Advisors, they have buyers from all over the world ready to buy your business now. Call for a confidential conversation about your business's current value. 561-203-5121. That's 561-203-5121 or visit tworld.com today.
You've got so many chances to win big on Hard Rock Bet. Even a small bet can bring in that serious cash. All you need is $1 and a dream.
Unbelievable. They've hit the parlay.
Let's go! Big payouts for every kind of player.
Hard Rock Bet. Roll with us.
Get up to $100 back if your first bet doesn't win. Payable and bonus bet up to $100, not a cash offer. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Cozy up with your favorite sweet treats at DQ Grill & Chill. Featuring the blizzard of the month, Oreo Fudge Brownie. It's the perfect treat for anyone who likes the sound of an Oreo crunch paired with soft brownies and rich cocoa fudge. Plus, come get a delicious frozen hot chocolate made with fresh cocoa fudge and vanilla soft serve to keep you warm when the temperatures go down. And Parmesan garlic chicken strips are back at DQ Grill & Chill with 2 locations, 4828 Lake Worth Road and US 1 just south of North Lake.
Palm Beach County's premier college football event is back. Don't miss the 2024 Boca Raton Bowl, Wednesday, December 18th from FAU Stadium and broadcast live on ESPN. Last year's game saw in-state rising power USF beat Syracuse out of the ACC. What will this year's game have in store? Big names, big teams, big action. The 2024 Boca Raton Bowl, December 18th at FAU Stadium on ESPN. Don't miss out. Find out more at BocaRatonBowl.com.
She ain't gon' tie me down. Why you on the road? Got it on the shirts, all the hats, all the clothes. What you want right now? What up right now?
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
You know, you think you're practicing something right, and you think you're doing a good job in terms of getting your golf game together. Go in early to Flagstick Golf Performance down in Boynton Beach early this morning. My pal Andy, who helps me with a little bit of instruction here and there, wasn't there yet, so I decided to get some shots up, if you will, if that's what they call it in the golf realm. Just had my wedge, 150 shots up, which is quite a bit. You know, some good, some bad, some erratic, some not. Andy comes in, gives a little bit of instruction. I spend about an hour hitting balls, and then Andy comes in, and we do a little actual instruction, changing up the grip, changing up how my shoulders move, changing up the hips, the legs. All of a sudden, it's like an entirely new thing. I realized that I was basically practicing all the wrong habits. But thanks to Andy over at Flagstick Golf Performance and the technology they have, I was able to put everything together and really get an understanding of what I was doing wrong and finally take some steps forward in my golf game. I only got a few short months before I need to put this all together. But that Flagstick Golf Performance, it's the ultimate indoor golf experience. It's now open. It's a unique facility featuring 3 indoor state-of-the-art simulators. It's got a state-of-the-art putting studio as well. It's a tour-inspired build shop. So even if you want to get your clubs trimmed down, new heads, new grips, new clubs, period, they got you covered there. Also, if you want to take lessons from PGA professionals, you can get fit for clubs too. They all got you covered over at Flagstick. It's the optimal environment to leverage technology and all the data insights you can imagine. But also, you could take lessons and get the real golf feel that you're looking for over at Flagstick Golf Performance. It's located in Boynton Beach, offers memberships and daily access for all. Visit them in person or find all the info you need at flagstickgolfperformance.com. We made our punchline picks yesterday, our picks against the spread. You know, we call it an educated guess on our part, but it's time for us to bring in the expert. We now welcome in Fat Jack at FatJackSports.com, the pro himself, Mr. Jack. How we doing today? What's going on?
Fat Jack.
We're doing great. Yeah, hey guys, if you're practicing the wrong thing, then you might as well do laundry because your golf swing, you got to do it correctly. Otherwise, you're just integrating bad habits into your game, which will not pay off in the spring. So good for you guys on sharpening your saw early, so you will be ready to go in the spring. That's what we've been doing with the picks as well. You know, this has been a week where you've been able to kind of see the difference between pros and average Joes. Monday night, I don't know who walks up to the window and plays Dallas. I mean, just they're horrible. Rush is bad. And so the general public goes up, they play Houston, and now they think that they're literally the gambling king of the world. And then they go right back up with that exact same money. Whoever played Houston, 100% went back to last night and played Pittsburgh. And 93% of the money was on the Steelers. Every sharp player I know had Cleveland, and every $50 friend or whatever loved Pittsburgh. So at the very most, if they didn't play parlays, if we talked about what a bad idea that is, and didn't do anything else stupid, they gave away juice so far this week. Sharp players like myself understand, hey, we can't play Houston because long-term that is a horrible decision to play with the general public. What looks too easy, too good to be true probably is. But we also can't play Dallas. So you know what we did? We play over. Over the total, went over easily on Monday. Last night was a no-brainer. Cleveland was the right side for a million different reasons. And the general public just couldn't see that. Divisional games, underdog in that division are hit about 66% of the time. Pittsburgh doesn't win by margin almost ever. I've released Pittsburgh the last 2 weeks. They're winning on last-minute field goals. Last week, Russell Wilson looked like Denver Russell Wilson, not Seattle Russell Wilson. So there were a million reasons to play Cleveland, but nobody really did that unless you know what you're doing. So if you're not 2-0 going into the weekend, it's not just about the money you didn't win with Cleveland. It's about the money you lost with Pittsburgh. So you now have 2 units that you shouldn't be. Go to FatJackSports.com. We can get you on the right side of these games.
All right, Fat Jack, welcome into the program. We'll loop you in on what we like this weekend. Let's start on the college side of things. There's a couple games that are interesting, a lot of trap games, and more importantly, a lot of, I guess, elimination games, if you will. Let's start on the SEC side of things. Ole Miss coming off the bye at Florida. Florida also playing well when healthy. They play hard for Napier here. They're getting 11.5 points here. What's your takeaway here? I like Florida here. I wanted to get your thoughts.
Yeah, that is a dangerous spot. By the way, I've released Florida a couple of times recently and hit it with them both times. But this is listen, Ole Miss, if there's a hotter team in college football right now and a bigger problem for teams, even I will absolutely give it up to what Florida's done with their strength of schedule, how well they've played. This is not all about Napier. They're not a great team, but they're a good team playing really good teams every single week. So I appreciate what he's done. The problem with Ole Miss is they're in the top 5 or 6 in pressure on the quarterback. Their front four get home. They stop the run as well, and their offense is pretty dynamic. That is a bad combination. Florida's played much better against teams that don't get pressure with their front four, and they have to bring blitz packages. That's not what you're going to get here. So I would worry about playing. I don't love Ole Miss either. It's not the best play on the board. I think there's easier spots, but I would worry about it from that. Ole Miss is a bad matchup right now for a lot of teams. I think Florida's included in that, and that's why the number is double digits. So I go ahead and lay the big number and play Ole Miss.
Fat Jack, we also took Minnesota plus 11. Now we know they lost to Rutgers the week before, but Penn State certainly they fold sometimes in these big moments. James Franklin has been known to fold in some of these games. Now, we don't think
it's the ultimate trap.
We don't think Minnesota's going to win, but we think they could cover that plus 11. They're a physical football team. They're at home. We like Minnesota plus 11. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and how could Penn State falls into that same category with about 5 or 6 teams, including Texas, some others. But what's their best win? Who have they beaten? And so you really don't know how good Indiana's in that. I mean, if Indiana loses this week, Indiana does not need to be in the playoffs, in my opinion. You can't beat a bunch of cream puffs, and then you have a shot. And I understand it's a big task to go beat Ohio State at home. But if you don't win that game, don't talk to me about being better than Tennessee, better than Ole Miss, better than maybe even – there's a lot of SEC teams in that second tier that I think are more warranted than a team like Penn State if they don't play well from here on out. Or like Indiana, if they lose to Ohio State. To your point, flat spots are what we're going to get this week. There are going to be some teams that lose or don't cover based simply on where we are in the schedule, and this is one of those situations where Penn State is not going to be overwhelmed with what Minnesota presents on tape. Minnesota's 5-1 against the spread their last 6 games. They covered 4 of their last 5 at home. This is a Minnesota team that keeps games close, getting some points. So I think there's easier spots because you're playing the worst talent against Penn State has better talent than Minnesota.
Sure,
but you're relying on that tough spot and a team that could come flat. And I think you're probably going to get that. But there are some easier spots. I would give you a couple of them. I think Auburn,
let's hear it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so Auburn, I think that this is a team of A&M, another one of those teams in kind of a flat spot. They've got Texas coming up on deck. They're a small favorite at a team that, again, is not going to wow you on tape, but it's at home, a really difficult place to play. When Auburn doesn't turn it over, this team's pretty good, and they can beat a lot of teams. So I think that is a more vulnerable spot for A&M than is Penn State going to Minnesota. So I would lean there, let a small favorite. The other one that I just think is generally speaking easier, Oklahoma State's horrible. They're giving up over 500 yards per game. They're giving up 7.1 yards per play. Texas Tech, Oklahoma State is getting respect from Vegas line setters that they have not earned in any way, shape, or form, even coming off a bye. Texas Tech's pretty good offensively. They've covered 5 in a row in the series. They've covered 5 in a row at Oklahoma State, 6 of the last 7 in the series. I think that's easier money than trying to figure out whether Penn State's going to show up and you're going to get 100% or you're going to get a flat spot. Those are just a couple I would probably lean toward.
One we need you to take this week with us is Colorado State at Fresno State, getting 3. Colorado State is at 7-3. Fresno State is at 5-5. Fresno State has lost a couple in a row. Colorado State is on a 5-game winning streak. Fresno State, of course, off the bye. Take that with us. Are you in?
That Colorado State? Is that where?
Correct.
I mean, I'm not afraid of Colorado State. Yeah, I'm not afraid of Colorado State. Yeah, I'll give you a flyer on that one. I'll put a little bit of money on that.
Yeah, that's Fat Jack. We've laid off the MAC, even though my Ohio Bobcats are on a magical run in the MAC, and I wish We just would have taken them. But is there anything else you like in college football, partner, before we move on to the national?
The overs and the unders are usually good on. What's one that we could take an eye on?
Yeah, so anything over 60, we've talked about. You get point spreads that are totals over 60. The under is 104 and 64, so a full 40 games of profit if you get totals over 60. So games like that Oklahoma State-Texas Tech game, there's going to be wind up there for sure. A lot of wind, actually, 25 to 30 miles an hour. So I would go under in that one. That's the only one that kind of jumped out, those high numbers. Colorado-Kansas is in that. They're 59.5, probably go over 60 by then. That's a close game, but I do think Kansas is going to have some success defensively, slowing down Colorado offense. And I think Colorado's on upset alert as well. So I would go under the total there as well. Those are just a couple on the totals. Another one, and again, I know Oklahoma comes to mind, Oklahoma State, obviously, for me, but I don't understand where the respect is with OU or OSU. They both are horrible. They can't. One can't score. One can't stop anybody. Alabama comes in for the first time in Norman and forever. This is an Alabama team that not only needs to win, but needs to win big with that eye test. When you have this committee that is kind of a learning curve on what they're looking at, whether it's wins versus who you've played, you need to not only win, but win big, especially for recruiting. Also, with Alabama coming to Oklahoma, I would lay the number up to 13.5, 13 or 14 on the road at OU Saturday night. Go ahead and lay that number and play the Crimson Tide.
All right, interesting. Let's shift to the NFL. Fat Check at FatCheckSports.com. Joining Russo and Rizzo now on ESPN 106.3. Really quickly, Fat Check, our lock of the week. I mean, we took it last week. It was the easiest one of the year. Detroit Lions against Jacksonville Jaguars last week. They're at Indianapolis this week, giving up 7. I still think this is an easy one. Indianapolis maybe got their good win out of the way, and Detroit has been throttling everybody. I have a hard time seeing Indianapolis being that stop in the road.
Yeah, my clients will tell you we all had Detroit also. Double-digit favorites in the NFL are undefeated this year and covering by an average of 16 points per game. I mean, it's been a roll fest with this double-digit favorites. Now, obviously, this is not one, but I'm with you. You either play, we talked about Detroit's historic run over the last 2.5 years against the number. They're leading the league in covers this year, 8-2 against the spread, 4-1 on the road. I'm not getting in front of that freight train for sure. I would caution people about continuing to play in those double-digit favorites. Don't get lazy late September or late November and give back that money before the holidays. As I said, they're 5-0 against the spread so far this year and covering easily. This week has a couple of them that are much more likely to not cover for motivation, for stylistic, and the fact that their coaches don't care about covering big numbers. They want to be healthy and get out of the game. So look for it's going to be tough, but walk up, play teams like Dallas, and also teams like Carolina, which nobody wants to play. Kansas City hasn't been a 10-point favorite all year. They were a 9-point favorite against Tampa Bay. They won in overtime. This is not a team that cares about running up the score. They care about being healthy, keeping Mahomes out of trouble. They're going to run the ball incessantly when they get a lead in that game. That shortens the game. Look for those double-digit underdogs to actually cover a couple of times this week.
So, Fat Jack, last thing here, and quickly, we took Cleveland. That's how you know we've been talking to you all year long.
Yeah,
we took Cleveland. That's FatJackSports.com, folks. FatJackSports.com. Get signed up today with our good pal Fat Jack. But last one for you, partner, and appreciate your time. We got Tampa Bay and the Giants. We took Tampa Bay -6. Giants are a dumpster fire. Quick thoughts.
Yeah, how do you walk up and play the Giants? I mean, they've got Danny DeVito's cousin that could sandwiches and playing quarterback. They're not playing the number 2. Daniel Jones is playing safety for them of the scout team. That team doesn't even look like it's trying to score points.
Yeah, right.
And Baker Mayfield has had a career year. They're averaging over 28 points a game. He's having the best numbers of his entire career. They're scoring points against anybody. That is one of those numbers. That and Denver both. I don't see how those favorites don't cover simply based on who they're playing. So I'm with you. I play Tampa Bay and lay the number.
All right, Fat Jack, we appreciate it as always. Where are you right now, by the way? You're always traveling around.
And Fat Jack, we need brothers. We got to meet. We need burgers.
Are you just Are you dodging us?
You are dodging us. You're honest to God dodging me at this point.
Nobody dodges somebody to not go to Brass Ring. My gosh, everybody wants to go there, and I'm included. I'm coming in the day after Christmas. I'll be there for 2 weeks, so even if you guys are out skiing or going to see your family, I'll be the day after Christmas. Right. We'll definitely go eat during that. My mom had a stroke, so I'm in Oklahoma. Flew in Oklahoma
I'm
from
sorry,
Vegas
Fat
last
Jack.
night. Well, it's not your fault. You didn't have anything to do with it. So we're trying to keep her above ground. We're working on that right now. But I'll be here over the weekend. and then I'll go to L.A. after that, and then into New York for the holidays, and then come down to see you guys on the 26th, and ready to go eat some burgers at Brass Ring and get to know each other a little better.
All right. Good to hear. Excited to hear about that, Mr. Fat Jack. We appreciate it as always. We'll talk next week.
Thanks, Fat Jack.
All right, guys. Have a great week. See you soon.
All right. That's Fat Jack at fatjacksports.com. Go check it out to get the trends, the picks, and the places to be in terms of sprinkling a little action on the games this weekend. We'll close out the program, send you off into the weekend. We got a little high school game day to preview as well. Stick around for that. Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Sports fans, it's the best time of the year. It's fall when everything is happening. Football's back. Fighting gets real. Baseball playoffs. Get ahead of the action. Plan your time now to be at Twin Peaks, the ultimate guys lodge, the ultimate sports lodge. Never ever recover to watch any fights, any MMA, UFC, or boxing pay-per-views. Always watch for free. Of course, the eats, the drinks, the signature scenic views, and of course, Twin Peaks 29-degree ice-cold beer made from scratch favorites like their burgers, wings, mozzarella bites, and so much more. Happy hour weekdays. Take advantage of $5 man-sized drafts. And remember, never ever pay a cover to watch any of the fights. Your official UFC fight headquarters is your official football headquarters all week long, all season long. Eats, drinks, scenic views, 29-degree beers. Twin Peaks, the ultimate guys lodge for everything sports.
Evan Cohen here. I'll get your day started on Unsportsmanlike with Canty and Michelle. And if that doesn't confuse you enough, Theo Dorsey will it too. Only on ESPN 106.3.
I'm Ellie Anajar of Anajar and Levine. Injured in a car crash? Never rush to settle with insurance companies, and never settle for just any attorney. Demand Anajar and Levine. Our experienced legal team will fight to win you the maximum compensation you deserve. Call me, Ellie Anajar, for a free consultation and take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
In office, West Palm Beach.
Good Greek moving and storage. Your superhero movers.
Hey, it's your boy JC. Rex Ryan, back to the Jets. It might actually be happening. Check it out on today's brand new Questionable Call with Josh Cohen, exclusively on YouTube. Go to YouTube right now. Subscribe. Questionable Call with Josh Cohen. Brand new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Rolling on here on ESPN 106.3, a Friday edition of Russo and Rizzo. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Damian Perez, of course, helping us out as always behind the glass. If you missed any of the show today, want to listen back, go to Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. To Russo and Rizzo, you got the full, uncut, unfiltered version of Mike and I giving our takes. If you want to watch us, see our pretty faces, of course, you can go to the YouTube, the Facebook, Twitter, at ESPN West Palm. We live stream every show as well, so for those of you who don't necessarily just want to listen, but also want to watch, that's where you go for that one. Growing out my beard a little bit, you can see that if you're on the live stream.
Beard.
Keeping myself warm in this cold, cold winter down here in South Florida.
I fixed how I'm not going to be cold tonight. Brother, I'm just going to wear, usually I change into the shorts and the polo for the covering high school games tonight. Colin, I'm keeping the pants on. I'm just going to change the shirt.
Keep the pants on.
Solved.
You should be fine.
Brother, solved.
But growing out the beard for the 9th annual YLS No Shave November event. It's created to bring more awareness to men's cancer issues, but also raises money for the Cancer Alliance of Help and Hope, which is an amazing local nonprofit right here in South Florida that directly benefits cancer patients in the Palm Beach County area. The event, of course, began in November. It continues through to the Shave Off Happy Hour, December 3rd from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the iBar. That's going to be at PGA National. We'll be doing the show from there, and I will be there raising money for a great cause, of course, myself. If you want to donate, if you want to consider donating, I'd be very appreciated because it directly benefits people in this area that are dealing with cancer. It's for a good cause. There's no reason not to get involved. All you got to do is text MEN9 to 71777. That's MEN9, MEN9 to 71777 to get to my page. Any contributions are not necessary. appreciated. Excuse me. But for a great cause, for a great organization, growing out the beard for it too. And I don't love growing out the beard, but here we are on Russo and Rizzo.
Mm-hmm.
Got a minute and a half here to go. All right, so let's go through this really quickly. Is BYU going to win against Arizona State?
No.
I would agree with that. Is the Niners, are they going to lose big to the Packers?
Not big, but they will lose.
Will Army keep it close against Notre Dame?
No.
Will Indiana keep it close versus Ohio State?
No.
Will A&M win big over Auburn?
Yes. I'm not with Fat Jack on that one, by the way.
You're not with Fat Jack on that one.
Yeah, Auburn is terrible. Hugh Freeze has got one foot out the door.
Will the Rams compete with the Eagles at home?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tight. Will the Ravens beat the Chargers on the road?
Yes, because they need it. Chargers can afford to lose. They're not winning the division. They look pretty good in the wild card.
Will the
race.
Cowboys show up in any facet against the Commanders?
God. I want to run my weekend through you. So, brother, check one. Browns winning last night. Check number 2 is going to be Ohio State throttling Indiana. Check number 3 and Damien, you know this. Manchester United new head coach Amorim is in. I need them to beat Ipswich. I did a little parlay. I did money line for the Brownies, Ohio State in the spread, and then Man U. I'm going to give myself a nice little penny on Hard Rock Bet. How about that?
Well, we'll see if Mike makes himself a little penny on Hard Rock Bet with that parlay. It's been Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3. A fun little Friday show with us. We'll be back at it on Monday. If you want to catch me and Cade Shumsland breaking down the NFL slate on Hard Rock Bet, tune in to Sunday Huddle. That'll be 10 a.m. this Sunday. Don't miss that. It's been Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
PNC Bank is committed to making a difference in the South Florida community. That's why they offer military banking products, champion veteran-owned businesses, and provide support to local organizations that empower veterans and their families with the resources they need to succeed. PNC Bank. See how they can help you at pnc.com/military.